What's up guys, to this special video where I'm going to talk about Disney Plus now that it's been out in the UK for a month. So what are my thoughts so far on Disney Plus? What do I want from Disney Plus in the future? So let's get straight into it. Initial thoughts. Well, first up, all the content on this, for the most part, all the major Disney films, all the Star Wars films and Marvel movies are in 4K, HDR, Dolby Vision with Dolby Atmos support. For the most part. Of course, some of the older stuff doesn't have that. So that's great. The problem though is that here in the UK for this month, because of the whole coronavirus stuff, they've limited the bandwidth. So what that means is we're not getting Dolby Atmos. Dolby Atmos has been cut off entirely, it seems. Then we are getting Dolby Vision and HDR and stuff like that, but because of the lower bandwidth, you're not getting the crisp, full 4K experience you're supposed to be. It's still 4K, it's just like going to be some like blocking and pop-ups and so on. Some of the darker elements, you might see like little blips on the screen and stuff like that. And so far from my experience, that actually hasn't been a big problem. But still, it's a little annoying now. Disney Plus launches here in the UK and we're not actually able to get the full experience. On the whole, it's great that this content's there. It's great that we're getting it at this level of quality, because they didn't have to give us 4K Dolby Vision resolution and Dolby Atmos support for all this content. They could have just left that to the 4K Blu-rays. But no, they've been kind enough to give it to us for free as well. Well, I say for free. For a standard subscription. It's not like Netflix where you got to pay more for it. So that's great. I just want the bandwidth to be lifted so that we can actually experience it in the full high quality way that it's meant to be. But speaking of that though, there's a lot of content on this service where I want to experience it in full 4K Dolby Vision with Dolby Atmos support. I've got all this technology at home which I can experience this content like this. So one of the things I've been leaving till later is The Lion King, the recent remake of The Lion King. I haven't seen that film yet. I want to see that film, but it's available in Dolby Vision, in Dolby Atmos. And when it comes to this sort of quality viewing experience in any way, shape and form, I'm a bit of a film snob that way. I want to see it in the best possible way I can. So I'm leaving certain content like The Lion King until they lift this bandwidth limitation so I can actually experience it in its full quality, high quality way, let's say. So there's a lot of content on Disney Plus which I'm just refusing to watch at the moment, which is disappointing. But somewhat relating to this, they've got, I think it's like 600 episodes of The Simpsons or something like that. The first like 20 odd seasons or something. But like in America, it's in the wrong aspect ratio. Again, film snob here. I only like watching things in the correct aspect ratio, the way that it was intended to be watched. They are going to fix this now. They've said that it's going to be about the end of May. So fingers crossed that that's what's going to happen, that they are going to fix it. I'm not even a huge fan of The Simpsons, but I refuse to watch it on Disney Plus until it's in the correct aspect ratio, especially when so many gags are visual. And if you're not using the correct aspect ratio, you're potentially cutting out some of them gags. But another thing is that the release schedule of certain shows, they're doing it week by week. So one, sometimes 2 episodes per week. So Star Wars The Clone Wars, for example, we're getting 2 per week. The Mandalorian, we're getting 1 per week. Which is odd for things like The Mandalorian and Folky Asks a Question and all that stuff, because again, Disney Plus has been out since what, October in America. So these shows have came and went, and yet here we are in the UK trying to play catch up, and now that its service is still out, we're still trying to play catch up because they're not releasing them in bulk. Again, I understand why they're doing that. It makes you want to keep the service rather than watch everything that's on there, cancel it, then come back later. So I totally get that, but it is a bit frustrating how we're finally able to catch up, but we're still being held behind. But now I want to talk about the content that's not there. So there's a lot of Disney content in there, there's some Fox content in there. You've got like the X-Men films, for example, on there. So there are some really good additions there too. You've got like old classic X-Men animated shows and Spider-Man animated shows. You've got the Marvel movies except for the Spider-Man movies. You've got Star Wars movies all on there. But there are some omissions in there. And obviously some of them I'm not even going to be able to remember off the top of my head. Or some of them I'm not even going to know. So for example, here in the UK, Night at the Museum 2 is on Disney Plus. Okay, not the best film ever made, but it's great that it's there. But where's 1 and 3? So they've got the second in the franchise, but not the first or the last. That's weird. And there are other examples of this there too. They advertise things like Malcolm in the Middle being on the service. That's not there. They advertised a bunch of things that were going to be on this service, and yet a lot of them just aren't there for whatever reason. I'm sure they're going to add them in the future. I'm sure there are licensing and rights deals going on behind the scenes. Hopefully in the future that means that once all these things are wrapped up, once they've actually got the rights to them all, they can actually put them on there. But yeah, it seems a bit odd and a bit misleading to advertise certain shows and films that are going to be on the service, and then the service launches and they're not there with no explanation. And with the whole coronavirus thing, what's happening in America is you've gotten Frozen 2 and onward, two big Pixar movies. Well, actually Frozen 2 is not Pixar, but two big animated movies who've been released on Disney Plus early. Great. But only in the US and Canada. Why isn't it here in the UK? That's odd. And hopefully future releases, like once this is fully established, once it's all worldwide, once all the rights and legal issues are sorted in like a year or two time, hopefully they won't have staggered releases like this. Hopefully the like Frozen 3, if it ever gets released, hopefully it'll have a day and date release on Disney Plus across both America and the UK. It's just a bit frustrating how Disney's clearly giving America stuff and then holding back stuff for us, including the release of this entire service. It's annoying, it's frustrating, and the fact that there's no explanation for it is even more annoying and frustrating. But anyway, let's talk about the shows that I've actually watched and what I've experienced on this so far. So The Mandalorian, I'd done a full review of The Mandalorian a while ago once it actually finished in America, because of course I wasn't going to wait for Disney Plus for this. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's good, it's enjoyable, it's fun, it has some problems. Go check out my full review for more on that. Star Wars The Clone Wars. We're about 6 episodes in as of recording. It looks great. It's a really gorgeous animated show. Here it's now in full 4K Dolby Vision, and it's got so much detail and depth and the atmospherics and colours. It looks like a really big budget animated show, and you can see how they've actually improved on things since it was last actually on TV. This is a gorgeous show. The storylines this season are entertaining and fun and enjoyable, but I'm failing to see why they chose these storylines to be the ones that they put out as the last season, especially when the season's a shortened season as well. Hopefully the final story arc will be something big and exciting and relevant and important, because so far I've liked what I've seen. They're not bad by any means. I just don't quite understand why they selected these stories. But I've also been checking out some older content. So Halloween Town, the Halloween Town series. I remember watching the first Halloween Town movie when I was a kid and I enjoyed it. So I thought, you know what, let's go back and watch the whole series now. I've never seen the sequels. So the first Halloween Town, fun, enjoyable, quirky, about witches and warlocks and all these like weird creatures who live in like an alternate reality world, with Halloween Town being their main like capital. It's got a lot of like Harry Potter connotations in there, and of course the first Halloween Town was before the Harry Potter movies, so you can tell it's a TV movie, you can tell it's got a low budget. A lot of the special effects and a lot of the props and the makeup and prosthetics and the costumes really do not hold up very well. I'm also not convinced they're using the correct aspect ratio. In the first film, for example, it went full screen, but it often looked like the camera was missing out the top and bottom of people's heads and faces and stuff when they were in close-ups. It was really weird that way on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just poorly directed and poorly framed or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, maybe that's something they want to go into and have a double check on. But also these Halloween Town movies, they're only like an hour 20, an hour 25 minutes long, so they're short films, but they also feel rushed in certain ways. It feels like they're missing like a second act almost. This applies to all the movies in this franchise. I haven't actually seen the final one yet, which is one which I'm debating about watching at all, because I know they recast the main character for bizarre reasons. But Debbie Reynolds, great. I like Debbie Reynolds a lot. This is probably my go-to Debbie Reynolds content. Of course, she's also done Singing in the Rain, but I think she's great in this film, in these films. I actually quite like the main character, Marnie, as well. Let's talk about the sequel though. The sequel, Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge, is not good. It's worse than the original. It feels like they've actually had a budget reduction in the second one. They've gotten rid of a lot of the special effects, a lot of the props and the prosthetics and the monsters. In fact, there's so much so that they've actually made it part of the story in the second one where they are getting rid of this stuff. It feels like that is them trying to contend with a budget reduction. But the second one's just less exciting, less interesting. And it's because of the storyline that they've gone with, I think, in that they are trying to reverse Halloween Town and make everything human, mundane and normal. It just makes it less exciting. Then the third one, Halloween Town High, I think is where they really start to nail the tone that they want to go for. It's funnier, it's more well-paced, let's say. There's a lot more good, quirky characters in there. There's a good central storyline there, but again, it does feel rushed, particularly as it gets to the third act, where they quickly establish who the villain is, quickly establish what their plan is, and yeah, then they save the day. So yeah, Halloween Town franchise hasn't aged well, but it is fun, it is enjoyable. I do recommend it if you haven't seen them. I've also been watching Forky Asks a Question. So Forky Asks a Question is the series of short spin-offs focusing on the character of Forky from Toy Story 4. They're good. They're really quite good, in fact. They're only like 2, maybe 3 minutes long each. It does have the voice actors from the movies coming in. The great animation. This is gorgeous animation, in fact, from Pixar. They're very funny, very short, very to the point. They've nailed the characters. They're brilliant. One of the interesting things about this is that while they are only 2-3 minutes long, the credits are actually longer than the show itself. So you might go in and say, oh, it's 6 minutes long. No, it's actually only 2 minutes long and the rest is credits. So that's bizarre. And you've got to then fast forward through the credits and so on. So that's a bit annoying. But yeah, they're short, they're funny, they get the point across. It's great Pixar content and there's a bunch of other stuff on there like that as well. That's kind of all I've had the chance to watch so far on the service because I am saving some stuff until they lift the bandwidth later on so I can get it at the best possible quality. But I have briefly checked out some other stuff, so Avatar's on there, I had a look at that a little bit, and Treasure Planet, I had a look at that as well. And there's a bunch of stuff I've got in my wish list, and on my watch list, sorry, not my wish list, that I'm just waiting to watch. I just want to give it a good chance, a good opportunity. I really want to have a go at High School Musical, the series, because I've heard a lot of good things about that, despite not even being a High School Musical fan. So that's what I thought of Disney Plus so far, but here's what I'm wanting from it in the future. Obviously, the bandwidth lift. That's the big thing. Lift the bandwidth, let us have this content at the best possible quality that we can get. Because it's a bit annoying how we are being limited. The fact that Dolby Atmos is completely cut off is annoying. Because they have got Star Wars movies on there in Dolby Atmos for the first time. The Mandalorian is in Dolby Atmos, but I can't experience any of that. So it feels like I'm getting a reduced quality version of all this content simply because of where I live, and that's annoying. And I realise this is a really snobby, privileged opinion, so I totally understand if you don't like that, but why give us this content? Why tell us that this content's available in this quality and then not provide it to us? It's just frustrating more than anything else. But obviously I want more content on this service. There's a lot of great content on there, a lot of stuff I'm waiting to watch, a lot of stuff I want to watch really badly. But they advertise a lot more content and it feels like there are some gaps in the content that they've got there. So give us what they promised, add in more stuff. There's plenty of other content on there. They now own Fox. So there's a lot of content from Fox that should be on there too. Malcolm in the Middle, for example. There've been talks about putting Buffy the Vampire Slayer on there and Firefly. Go for it, I say. But again, there's a lot of content on there which I'm probably forgetting about. The original Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the one by Genndy Tartakovsky or whatever he's called. And that's not there. So there are gaps. The Star Wars Holiday Special is not there. And yeah, there are easy gaps they can fill in. There are some big omissions in there. And it's odd how some of that stuff just isn't there. Obviously fix the aspect ratio on The Simpsons. Maybe check out stuff like Halloween Town. Is that in the correct aspect ratio? I'm not sure. Or was it just poorly made? I don't know. But yeah, I'm well aware as well that there is content here in the UK on Disney Plus that's not on in America. So for example, the X-Men movies, I don't believe they are in the American Disney Plus. So once all the legal rights and issues are sorted out, maybe we can have like a more universal content. So whatever's on in America can also be on in the UK. So Onward and Frozen 2, for example. Why are they in America but not here? We have the same service. They were released about the same time. Why does America get it early and we don't? It's bizarre because we're all going through this coronavirus stuff. So why favour one country but not the other? But I would also like a wider array of content. Obviously it's Disney, so a lot of the content is family friendly, kid focused. That's perfectly fine and understandable. But it would be nice to have some more mature content on there too. There is some mature content there, but just add a little bit more in to appeal to a much wider audience, I think. And I've also mentioned this already, but the Fox content, here in the UK, a lot of the Fox content, like the more mature Fox content, like Predator and Alien, for example, is probably going to end up on Sky in the UK. So that's a bit annoying, but get some of the other Fox content on there, like Buffy, like Firefly, and so on and so forth. Because here in the UK, we don't have Hulu. Disney owns Hulu now, or at least has a big chunk of Hulu stock under their name. So a lot of the content, like there was the talk of, what was it, the Lizzie McGuire show is now not going on Disney Plus, it's going on Hulu in America. Well, what does that mean for us in the UK? We don't have Hulu. So is that going to Sky? Or is it going to Disney Plus? I don't know. And I've got Sky in the UK, so it's not a problem for me. But here in the UK and Sky, the 4K Dolby Vision HDR content just isn't there. So if they release this content in America on Hulu in the best possible quality that they've got, here in the UK we're not getting that. So that's frustrating. So maybe give us some way to get this more mature content. And maybe it is Sky, maybe it's Disney Plus, maybe it's something else, I don't know. But they need to figure that out and let us know. Because after all, these big franchises like Predator and Alien, Disney now owns them. So we need to have some way of accessing them. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts 1 month in on Disney Plus. I like it quite a lot. I'm looking forward to using it a lot more in the future. Hopefully they lift that bandwidth so I can actually experience a lot of the content in the quality it was meant to be seen in. And yeah, I do recommend Disney Plus. There's a lot of great stuff on there. Until next time though, I've been Grant Burton, your host for today. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton. Most importantly though, subscribe to my channel to get more content like this. And until next time, thanks for watching.